Hello. There we go. I muted the right one. Everything should be working now. I think Rifkin might still be right back. As he did say in the chat. So he'll be back soon. But he is here, trying to cast. Both cast today, as am I. Yeah. I definitely got back from Montreal like 6-7 hours ago because my flight was delayed by 3.5 hours for like a 2-hour flight. Oh, it was great. But the first match today that we'll be casting for the Olimoleague will be Bjorn versus Mamuri. Of course, Bjorn will probably win, and I think we all know that. But Mamuri is a fun guy to watch usually, a fun Zerg player to watch. Actually, like, is one of, I think, 2 up-and-comers that we like paying attention to. So it's basically Mamuri and NaTuRal. NaTuRal actually not really so badly. I mean, getting to semifinals most of the time now. I think he made 1 finals of something or another. And then maybe, like, I guess we also have, like, NaDo, but, I mean, names that I recognize, but aren't really, like, okay, these are the guys that are going to be the future of Korean StarCraft, like, maybe these other 2. I mean, Memory is someone that we actually enjoyed first and foremost with the TvT Cup that we did, like, so long ago, so it's been a while, but I know that he's given okay games, versus really, really good Terrans before, so I'm hoping he can at least give Bjorn a challenge on Apotheosis as the first map, too. Should be a map he can give a challenge on. We are still waiting for him to join the lobby. This is the Olimoleague, and we do have, you know, the same setup as we've had for the last month, which means that there is a Korean stream going on now as well. I'll be casting the exact same match. Memory actually might not be here, which is kind of awkward, but whatever. Well, we'll find out soon. That means that no cast will have any players. Oh well. But if you want to check out the Korean cast or see the studio setup or anything like that, it is twitch.tv/Olimoleague. And of course, as always, just really quickly, to buy time, as Bjorn is also just like, oh, where's the person? You can support the Olimoleague more on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/Olimoleague, actually. And there's a bunch of rewards that you can get, and I think you all know the deal by now. But if you're interested in giving a buck or 2 every week, definitely check it out.
I don't give a buck.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Sorry. Very basic things are difficult to do, and I didn't budget enough time.
Yeah. Oh well, that's fine. We're actually not doing anything anyways, so you know.
Yay! I mean, boo!
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh shit! I'm close to it. Yep.
Oh, Bjorn and Murray. This is a good first match.
Except Murray's not here.
Oh, okay. That's not good.
Yeah. So, anyway, might hop to another match if it's still available. If not, then it's gonna be super awkward, and I'm gonna have to regale everyone with tales of Montreal.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing some stories. Apotheosis, though, I guess whether we get into it or not, I kind of forgot that the Olimoleague has a limited map pool, and this one did slip through. I was just gonna comment though that if I'm a Murray, you know, someone out there sure is thinking like, well, you saw that he was up against Beyond and said, fuck it, like it's just not gonna be worth it. But the thing is, a lot of these guys actually seem to enjoy the struggle versus Beyond, and more importantly, and this is more of like the admin side of things, the Olimoleague does this a little bit different, where you have to check in 3 hours ahead of time instead of like 30 minutes. So as unfortunate as it may be, Murray may have actually checked in and then,
Peace.
I don't know, yeah, 3 hours ago, fell asleep, went to bed early, peaced out. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, he has technically, I think I actually don't know what the start time is for games that are cast. Oh, cat, no, don't do that. Go away. Okay, bye-bye. But I think the walkover time. I mean, the walkover timer is usually 15 minutes, and it's been 5. But sometimes, if it's also waiting to be cast, it takes a long time. I have like bruises on my legs, and I'm not even sure why. I mean, I know I was drinking and dancing and whatnot at the after party, but I really don't know where some of these came from.
Were you drinking, or were you like zombie grub drinking? Because there's so many times where you go a little bit overboard.
It's always... I always have to try and defend that because I only ever drink when I go to the events, and I've only ever gotten, like, too drunk twice now, but those times were terrible.
Both times I've had to forcibly send you back to your room to recover.
Yeah, terrible. No, I was perfectly within the right state of mind for the after party. I mean, before that, I was just too... I still felt too bad to drink that much anyway. So the after party was actually a pretty perfect mix. So I really just don't... I should remember, but I don't know, it's happened before, like a couple weeks ago when I had my... Well, actually, you might not remember, because, I mean, you were in your own pain, but I was sick, and then I also, like, for whatever flipping reason, just didn't realize I hit my knee, and so my knee, like, wasn't working, and I was like, I don't remember what I did to it, but I can't climb steps. Questionable. So.
Feels bad, man. Maybe it's just part of getting old. Maybe.
Who knows? I'm actually not watching Brood War on the second monitor right now. I just didn't think about it, to be honest. But yeah, that's also happening. Kind of unfortunate that it took so much coordination to try and get the Olimoleague on a day that there was no other StarCraft 2. Not just for viewership, but for, you know, actual Korean players. So if there was like a European Cup going on, maybe that wouldn't be such a big deal. And then Brood War comes in, and that still doesn't take away the Korean players, but it is like you gotta divide your attention, you got the multi-twitch up, you know, what's up? And it's actually a pretty good one today.
By the way, just answering some questions on that stream delay in chat about the whole camera thing, etc. We've heard this a million times. Quick shoutouts to Admiral Awesome. Thank you for the 27-month resub. Hope you got to see Zombie Grub, I guess. Did you run into him at all during DreamHack?
I did, yes.
Yeah, Aaron's a nice guy. I was just going to say, though, unfortunately, to describe my setup, I have my keyboard halfway propped up on a book to bring it up to my little T-Rex arm setup I have, guys. I'm not fully recovered yet, but because of all of this, I can't wear shirts currently, which is a good thing, I guess, considering it's summer. This would be kind of sucky in winter when it would be all super cold. But yeah, I can't wear clothes, and unfortunately, Twitch has strict rules about that, and I'd rather not have BaseTradeTV get banned. So we'll just go with the still picture for the time being.
Yep. Sucks. So, as Murray probably isn't here, and we probably know Byun's going to win, even if he does show up, for the most part. Looks like we're going to hop into another series. This is the one I was looking at just because Byun winning against Murray might have been so obvious.
Calm down there, Rifkin. You saying that guy didn't even have a chance? Why bother playing in the first place? Am I right?
You literally have said that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said calm down, Rifkin, not calm down, Zombie Grub.
I don't know what the tone was for it, though. You literally were talking in your own voice.
Well, there you go. See, I was using my own voice, not somebody else's. I wasn't Christopher Walken talking to you about this.
Anyway, I think they're ready to go. Oh, I'm host.
Oh, it's the Korean cast not covering this one, I guess?
No, they're probably still waiting for Byun Mamuri, which, you know, let's do whatever, man.
Those silly, naive sons of guns.
I don't know, man. That seems like an awkward 20 minutes to me, because if Mamuri doesn't show up, then Byun gets a walkover, and Byun would have to wait for Keen, who is also waiting for, like, the match before his. So it'd be a long time to wait, I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. This isn't shots at the Korean cast. This is actually just compliments to us, guys. We've been through enough of these terrible situations. We've been around the block a couple of times. People who haven't been might actually wait for the better players. And I think this is a big part of why BaseTradeTV stopped trying to rely on the more popular names. Because we're like, well, we keep waiting around 40 minutes at a time and they just don't have someone show up, or like no game action ends up happening. It feels bad, man.
It does. I'd rather get it going, especially because today we have a double cast. The less downtime, the better mentally. Yeah. So.
Oh, actually, I think they're casting Symbol versus Gulzing.
Gulzing?
I only bring this up because I see those two different matches highlighted on the challenge brackets.
Interesting. And they were really
So-
pay attention to what was highlighted.
Before moving on, I mean, we're in the lobby, ready to go. Since the players are good, we'll get the party started. Just a quick note on Beyond. He's one of our favorite players. We love seeing him play over and over, whether it's the TvT, TvZ, you name it. If we get to see him a little bit more, I'm hoping it'll be versus Keen, and I'm hoping it'll be versus Armani after that. But we are not going to be casting the Beyond match for now. What I'm really hoping, though, I just looked at these brackets, Zombie Grub. I'm really hoping for a Billowy versus Beyond finals.
Yes, that's also another reason I was like tempted to cast this one, because I think either way, we're gonna get into the eventual winner of the Olimoleague basically, and be able to follow that storyline. But first, we're gonna get to this TvT. Not that one of these guys couldn't win the Olimoleague. I mean, NaTuRal's actually gotten pretty far, but I don't know if they will. And the top left on Apotheosis, he is the blue Terran NaTuRal.
I'm not sure if this makes me a bad person, but when you say follow that storyline, I'm just like, ha, you mean easy games because we just follow that one bracket.
Yeah.
All right, in the bottom right, playing for Sidestorm apparently. I guess recently signed? I'll have to look into this. It's NaDo.
Yeah, I saw them make a tweet. I guess I kind of... I don't know what I thought.
glanced over it. I guess I didn't think too much of it, but I remember them announcing this, I want to say about a week ago.
Yes, yeah, definitely last week.
They amazing. They've mixed them up on their Wikipedia page though. The Sidestorm Gaming Wikipedia has NaDo listed as Jake Umpley.
Oh, hey, it's
And no
what's up?
regret is now Kim Han Byeon.
Oh, good. He really did turn Korean.
Yeah, he went to Korea and did wonders for his complexion.
Yeah. So I guess like the gist there was just that, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff to help out Sidestorm, and he has been playing at a pretty high. I mean, he's been in their tournaments, in the Olimoleague tournaments, that is, pretty regularly. Just never got around to really casting him. So they were just like, let's sign him. Let's give him a clan tag.
I don't think it's a bad thing. We'll see how NaDo does. We've actually seen weird performances out of these guys who get that foreign support. Not because we're expecting NaDo to be the next true hop over to America, take a bunch of tournaments by storm, but it is something where NaDo has been playing things so frequently. For him to suddenly get better wouldn't be surprising because he has been practicing against some of the best.
Yeah. Unfortunately, NaTuRal, I think, is more likely going to be that guy that like gives us a surprise breakout performance.
Oh yeah. NaTuRal's just in general had better performances because he's been getting deeper in the brackets, but still not somebody who's actually won any of these weekly cups, much less the bigger events.
Yeah, well.
So for this one, it's TvT. We've seen it all too many times where it's really awkward. I don't know how much of the B stream you got to see because you were there watching live at DreamHack, but Hero Marine and Marine Lord actually presented a really weird TvT for us. Where games 1 through 3 were not exactly the classic TvT you'd expect to see, and then games 4 and 5 were a lot more of that Marine tank setup.
Interesting.
So I think recent viewers of the stream understand just how weird TvT can get.
Sure. Thanks to Texas93 for the 24-month resub, and Hopsalots for the 25-month resub. So we watch this Reaper get maybe another SCV kill. Already has one from the Scouts. It's a little dangerous to go in the mineral line, but preps with a grenade, so it was pretty perfectly. I mean, actually, he could probably get a third one. There's a weak one back there, and there's nothing popping out still. He's gonna go for the one that's building the starport. It's a pretty good choice. I mean, seriously, he could. Is this another SCV? No, it's a Reaper. Okay. It's like he's gonna get another one. He gets the. I mean, this is actually a ton of damage from a Reaper opener. Like, this wasn't like 2 racks Reaper. This was a Reaper expand. Although it is a 2 Reaper opener. And he's killed 2 SCV or 3 SCVs in total, but more importantly, like, denied so much time on different buildings. And he's gonna still deny the starport. Jesus. Okay.
Okay, this has done a lot more than it should have.
For sure.
Like, poor NaDo. This guy's sitting here going like,
Okay.
I didn't actually want Reaper to get this out of hand. Now, while it didn't kill a lot of the SCVs here, it is actually alarming. Some of them are in one-shot range where there are Banshee follow-up to this. God, that'd be devastating, actually.
That would be a really good follow-up. Hey, look exactly what's going on there. Yeah. The front is pushed back. NaTuRal, I mean, maybe this is a shorter rush distance. Might have had something to say with these Hellions, but unfortunately just runs in and did NaDo's Hellions. And it's actually taking a really, really poor fight, so hopefully he doesn't get some, like, revenge damage here, because those Hellions, I mean, they're super weak. They're gonna have to try and just buy time by splitting and hoping that something else pops out. A Cyclone pops out, so that's still pretty good. Gets a Reaper. Okay, and he actually manages to save the Hellions. A little surprised about that. Repairs it too. Fortunately, NaDo not repairing his SCVs. Yeah, absolutely going to be great for the Banshee to pick off, but NaDo does have defenses against the Banshee. I mean, he's got a Raven, he's going to have a Viking. But that's only going to be able to be in one position at a time and might not even be in the right position first. So, it's going to be a little bit scary. Scans, confirms that it's a Banshee coming on out. Actually, a third CC really quickly. But still got to have the right positioning.
I just want to point out, NaTuRal, there's no way in the world he could have planned for that Reaper to do so much damage. But if we take another player as an example here, with somebody like Lily Canine, who would perhaps have proxied that Reaper, and perhaps have even proxied the Starport follow-up to this, I think NaDo would have already been dead in the water this game. Luckily, though, defenses are set up, and looks like this won't get too bad for him. The Raven and the Viking combo being the biggest aspect of it, but that Banshee should still get a couple of kills.
Oops, missed Micros a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, NaDo did it correctly. You know, this is where a lot of SVs could have gone down instead of 3-6 go down. So he had his units there, but does push back the Banshee anyway and doesn't take too much damage. Again, NaTuRal's going to try and get some like trickery done here by getting some units on the front as well, but NaDo's pretty well set up. Also noting that, you know, there's a lot of Hellions, and unfortunately NaTuRal's scan didn't show that. He does see it here, and that's too many Hellions to be like, okay, he's, you know, he's definitely going for bio. I guess some people might open with this many and still transfer over into barracks, but that's not what NaDo's doing. In fact, he got an armory somewhere.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to throw this out there because we're seeing a lot of stuff go on right now, and with Mech being a very, well, he could say that actually. There we go. A very interesting combination of things. I'm a lot less concerned about workers that died. Even though he's 10 behind, it's actually not that alarming. TvT in a lot of respects doesn't actually revolve so much around the workers, because you get that mule to always carry your back. But the fact that he's going mech makes this a lot more interesting, because late game, you don't need like any work. You just need gas money workers, right? Who cares about the minerals? So him being a little bit behind on the economy right now is actually not going to hurt him as bad as it normally would. In fact, he's ready to go with this attack. I love the Raven with this. Auto turrets do big damage right now. 16 damage a shot, all that goodness. Hellbats aplenty. Marines aren't going to stop this. I actually think NaTuRal might be in a bit of trouble.
Maybe. This feels very old school. Definitely saw some attacks like this in Heart of the Swarm, but I think there's enough. Maybe had he not taken so much damage earlier on with the SCVs, this hits just a little bit better with a little less from NaTuRal.
Yeah,
but
and the Banshee actually managed to wiggle in there with quite a few hits as well. Auto turret's going to come down, soak the damage of the tanks, drops the Hellbats on top of said tank. Vikings are landed on the ground, though. I love this. They're adding a ton of damage to deal with those Hellbats because everything else would just melt to them. 17 workers go down, spins up the worker supply, and could have got out of there with the medevacs. That was a little awkward.
That went really too well for NaTuRal. In fact, like, game over for NaDo, well, because NaTuRal has a third CC. NaDo just lost his Viking control.
Yeah, Viking
was
like, going for him.
I mean, there's really nothing else here. I mean, sure, Viking control's always great, but honestly, not even... It probably wouldn't even matter. NaTuRal's not quite exploding with production yet, and that's what the timing kind of hit correctly, but he did have this really nice setup because his third CC scouted it. I think if the third CC doesn't scout it initially, he might have been too surprised. Like, everything's clumped up, and the Vikings aren't landed, but it's bad now.
Two things I want to cover real quick. Number one, the proposed change to Vikings would actually make that type of engagement there quite interesting. The +8 damage versus mechanical would, of course, work versus Hellbats and tanks, and I'm actually wondering how much emphasis we're going to see on Vikings when that change comes through. I think it's going to be pretty big, actually. Secondly, and more importantly, I guess, what happened here in the game, you said game over, and I'm saying yeah, because one of the problems we have with mech, we've seen this consistently, and this is why mech isn't so favored right now, is your army supply matters a lot in the early game. It's hard to actually get it up to between 50 and 100 like you normally would want to sit. Once you're at like 100, 150 supply, you're actually in a great spot playing mech. But right now, NaDo's in a bit of a fickle situation. Now, he's got tanks, he's got Hellbats, he's got a Viking. He could take a decent engagement here. Chances of him defending this gold base? Unlikely.
The gold base might initially be defended. There wasn't a lot of bio to back up NaTuRal's tanks here, and he didn't quite devastate in the air war, so with the Vikings coming out now, yeah, they probably have that vision.
Tanks up, so yeah, that third has to be lifted.
Yeah, he needs to run away with the tanks for sure, but the Vikings are on their way, so at least they're going to get rid of the medevac coverage and micro. Scan's still available for NaTuRal, of course. He's fully saturated on 3 bases because one of them is a gold. and he can start using those scans just for scouting. NaDo's going to go ahead and just give up that base and go to the third. I mean, this was a really bold one to do. Usually would be okay because he would have the higher tank count, but not now because he had such low production. Not really. No. Okay, so Mr. Starts coming down. It's going to stop NaTuRal from getting a Doom drop in. He does have that kind of position to do so, but
I don't know. So the thing I don't love about turrets done like this is that you can still just boost past them. Obviously, it's going to deter any normal drops, but as we can see here, it's first off the tanks take out the ones on the left ledge, and then everything else on the top side is just going to wasted minerals.
Yeah. With only 2 medevacs available, it would not have been worth it to go for the drop, not even a Doom drop.
Siege, he snipes one of the siege tanks with one of his unsiege tanks. That's kind of cute to see. As the Viking starts whittling away at that last medevac, it prevents the liftoffs to make this continued pressure be worse than it is. But new sensor tower comes down. Unfortunately, that's an expensive building that is about to get sniped once again.
I'm dropping on top of the tanks. Managed to get one of them. I'd actually probably get all of them even. Yeah, the Marauders didn't die right there. So that's probably going to be it. NaDo's kind of been, he has his back broken. Nat's about to have 2-2. I didn't even realize that. So his bio's looking fantastic. He finds the third base, of course. So worst case scenario, he goes over there and starts killing all the SCVs.
Furthermore, his army has just been so, his army supplies never really got above much this game, and that's what's really unfortunate. You just can't build off of that. So he's just going to keep slowly bleeding out. GG.
GG. Well, I liked the attempted Hellbat drop. As I said, maybe if it's not scouted, everything is clumped up, and the Vikings not landed, they might be able to kill one of the medevacs. It's not even assured because I think there's only 3 of them. Still probably wouldn't have been as good as what they were landed and spread out. So it was cool to see that kind of come back too, because I feel like that timing has not been a thing for a while.
Yeah, I want to really go back talking about the mech part though. Because if you guys didn't catch it a little while ago, we had Major versus Beastie Cutie, I believe it was, right? In that finals, it was a best of 5. And Beastie made Mech look so broken. You got Major, who's such a good Terran player. We just saw how far he got into DreamHack. All this stuff to be said about him. And he just got wiped off the floor, like, wiped. It was destroyed. It wasn't even a close series. Like, that 3-0 was disgusting. And it was all because Beastie was, like, pulling out these mech builds. So I just want to quickly point out, like, NaDo choosing to go mech was actually not a terrible choice. There are players that are trying to make that happen, and there are players that are making that happen. It just really didn't work out for him there. The second thing I want to get into is, oh, man, I don't know if you watched him stream much. Ruff has some really disgusting pushes that around similar timings to what NaDo just did. But unfortunately, no blue flame attached, so the Hellbats didn't get quite nearly as disgustingly cheesy as Ruffs do.
Oh. No, I don't watch it that much, but I said that was a really annoying thing to do in Heart of the Swarm, because if you see someone's going mech, usually the assumption is that they're not going to be pushing into you until much, much later. At worst, 150 supply, not sub 100 with a bunch of Hellbats, so you would oftentimes not be prepared. What?
TLO just tweeted some fun facts about Sidestorm Gaming's No Regret, by the way.
Yeah.
Apparently his last name is a monster. And his monster's a really derpy monster.
Huh. Am I supposed to be... I don't...
Yeah, I guess just message him and ask for the map. I'm not sure who's supposed to host. I gotta say, by the way, well, I didn't get to show it off on stream or anything, or refer to it much. It was so nice to be able to check graphs again. Oh my gosh.
Well, he made it with WCS, which is...
Damn it, just as I say that, right? Close enough.
Close enough.
It's close enough.
Huh. Whatever he wants to do. Actually, I don't know, like, you weren't around for this, but Alive, for whatever reason, really wants to make map lobbies now. And I just, like, I'm not, like, angry about it or anything. It's like, he was really insistent. It wasn't that it was the faster thing to do. He was just like, no, I want to make. I literally had the map up and ready to go, and he was like, no, I make. I'm like, okay.
Okay, 2 thoughts on this. One, this is going to be the negative side, right? We'll go with bad news first instead of good news. He just doesn't trust you. Oh, why do I have those? That's a mistake. He doesn't trust you. He's like, no, stupid white person doesn't know what she's doing. I don't want to mess up my lobby, all right? That's probably not what happened.
Okay.
The more likely thing that I think is, like, This is one of those things where he figured out how to make lobbies for the first time. And he's like, oh, let me do it, let me do it, let me do it. I want to do it, I can do it, watch me do it. Oh, this is a cool new trick, guys. Look at this. Ah!
Wait a minute. That's what I thought. This map actually is not in the map pool.
Oh, bother. That's right.
Also,
Galactic Frost is not part of the map pool. Apotheosis, New Gettysburg, Frozen Temple, Frost, and King Sejong Station.
yeah, so... Yes, this is not in the map pool. Hey, cat.
Yeah, the Olimoleague has 5 maps. This has caused some problems in the past, but we've learned from our mistakes. And Olimoleague is stern but fair, where if you play the wrong map, she will not count it. Like that, if that played out the full 30-minute game, would not matter to her.
Yep, there's been certainly that exact case. Multiple times in what is over a year now
Oh,
of the Olimoleague.
that sadly brings back a small kick of nostalgia. What happened to poor Journey, man? Where you been, dog?
Yeah.
Because of course Journey was one of the first culprits back on, what was it, like Catalina? Yeah.
Yeah. There's I remember you weren't there to cast either. Just coincidentally, I think it was me and Fear Dragon actually. I wasn't even solo casting. We felt so terrible. Womp womp. But you're right, we were just like, nope, whatever.
It's one of those things too where I love that we can remember who and the map, and this was like over a year ago, but we can hardly at times remember what happened in game 2 out of a best of 3 series.
Yeah, right.
Scumbag brain, am I right?
Like it restarted. What's the map now?
King Sejong Station. This one is in the map pool.
Yeah, it is. All right then. So didn't miss much. But yeah, on the subject of Alive's map making, that's what I think it is. Because I mean, we've made lobbies for him so many times. Like he still needs to trust me. I actually wonder if there's, to be honest, I mean sometimes weird things happen. Stop promoting him to host. I swear to God. With like, I'm just gonna say it, even though it's gonna be like one of those words you're not supposed to say, right? Like match fixing and stuff like that, like not trusting people.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were going with the N-word. Oh, dab that sweat off my shoulder. Oh man.
Oh, okay.
Whew.
Anyway,
Scared
like
me.
match fixing or just like not trusting a new player that seems to be doing too well and too suspicious. That sometimes. Like, I have no idea, right? That there'd be, like, a map thing they were trying to make sure wasn't the case. Like, they think the BaseTradeTV graphs actually gives their opponent 5 more minerals per second or some shit, right? Like, I was, like, worried that was something, but I think it was just Alive was like, no, I learned how to make lobbies, let me. But it was weird.
On that point, by the way, before you do the intros, that's why we're not allowed to use the BaseTradeTV graphs mod for, like, WCS events and things, as much as we'd love to. And we know, like, 100% there's nothing rigged with it. Blizzard didn't make it, they didn't approve it, so they can't trust it. And I think the players are totally in the right to have that same mindset. Like, I just want to make sure no one thinks we're feeling assaulted or slighted. It's 100% understandable.
So the thing was weird too is that eventually he started making it with the exact same mod. So I think, I think it was just like he wanted to make the lobbies. But actually, I'll get another point after the intros. In the top left, as the Red Terran, he is Psystorm's NaDo.
And his opponent in the bottom right, currently up 1 in the series, it's going to be the blue Terran player, NaTuRal.
People often forget the hard times of StarCraft 2, I suppose. They'll remember, like, I guess metas, like, everyone remembers not liking Broodlord and Fester, or they'll remember some other parts, like, not having chat initially, like, which is the dumbest thing in the world, but that was like, 2010, for the first 2 months of StarCraft 2. I think the first month, actually. But, there's also the fact that, you couldn't be in the same replay with some other person. You had to start like sync it up, and it always get desynced.
3, 2, 1. No, I said on 1.
Yeah, exactly. But then eventually it get desynced anyways. So you're talking about like a fight that's over, and the other guy's like, "Wait a minute," because just something would happen.
No, it's not something. It was XSplit or whatever recording device would offset you by like a millisecond every second.
Yeah.
So after a certain amount, like 5 minutes in the game, you'd be desynced by like 5 or 10 seconds. It was so silly.
Which is really important. But the other thing is that it took forever for Blizzard to really embrace any mods at all. Like, we're very used to having WCS Game Heart now, which is approved and you can do no matter, what tournament you're in, because it's been approved and it's been tested and whatnot by Blizzard themselves. But for a long time, you had this guy that had this amazing thing called Game Heart, and they just were like, yeah, it's like sort of interesting, I guess, but we're not really gonna do anything with it for a while. And like, yeah, I guess it's cool you could zoom out a lot, but like, no, it's fine. Like, no. And it was very, very frustrating. You know, he still had tournaments as well, you know, like the non-official tournaments, even though, I mean, some official tournaments too, that would use the wrong overlay, just straight up. Like, default overlay, way into 2013-14, and you're just like, oh, God, what are you...
And they do it on purpose, too, not even an
Yeah,
accident.
exactly. And you're just like, no! There are tough times, but whatever. TvT, King Sejong Station. We do have NaTuRal going for this one base build, so it's very important that he kept that Reaper alive, unless he knew he could take out the other Reaper, but it was not in his favor. So he wants to have this aggression start, and it will. It won't be able to cancel the command center thing like extreme like that, but keep SCVs off mining, off production from it. Ooh, already lost a Reaper. Not ideal.
No. The fast Liberator on this map makes a bit of sense, especially with the way the natural bases are set up. But the funny thing is, as you say, Natural's the one without it, and with his one base opener, he can certainly do a lot of damage, and if he pushes back the command center, if he gets a couple of SCV kills here, he can put down his own command center, make up that, in fact, there we go, make up that difference in time. And that's exactly what this Liberator should be able to do. I'm not sure how long it'll last, though. There's going to be a Viking, there's going to be a Cyclone, there's going to be a couple Marines. So it will maybe shut down a couple of SCVs worth mining, maybe catch a mule, but it won't exactly get out of hand.
No. I mean, this has been a pretty lame one base opener. NaTuRal, just anticipating where the army is. Well, it has a lot to do with NaDo just prepping.
That's true. I was just going to say, it wasn't nearly as dedicated as I thought it would be either.
Well,
but
this isn't really not working.
Yeah, that gets caught. That's really bad. It's funny because you got to consider, like, NaDo's the one who looked like he was flopping around all over the place like a fish out of water that first game. And it's kind of reversed itself a bit now. NaTuRal's opening does not exactly have the same finesse that I think I expected it to.
It really was not very impressive. But as I said, NaDo, like, he prepped for it. He wasn't too cavalier about his Reaper and his Marines, you know, on the high ground here. That's what caused him to snipe that one Reaper. Liberator ends up getting something done, and the grenade splashing on the Marines is really damaging them, but not quite to that point where, like, they all suddenly die, although if they chase the Hellions, they will, so gotta be careful there. Viking comes back out, and Liberator will be pushed off. I mean, every little thing counts for NaTuRal right now. You know, the fact that the SCVs weren't mining in the NaTuRal for some time, as NaDo had to take the aggression seriously. You know, he didn't just want to willy-nilly transfer the workers down, or that the ECC wasn't producing for however long it wasn't producing. All those things add up so that this one base opener doesn't look so bad. It's not like he's down 10 SCVs. In fact, I mean, he's only occasionally down 2 SCVs with production coming every now and then, and still looks perfectly fine. Not sure whose scan that was. It was NaDo scan on NaTuRal. Checks to see, I guess, if there's a third CC or more production.
And he is going to be going, I guess, deep enough with mech. Double factory production's one thing, but as long as he doesn't lose too much army around defending this awkward siege tank position, he should be okay. That was the problem last game. Like, he lost too much army way too quick, and unfortunately, looks like it's already happening again. 2 Vikings go down without getting anything for their trouble.
This is problematic. NaTuRal does have that bigger army supply, and while it's not something that can just, like, move in, especially as a bunker, he is finding that position as abusive. He's starting to take down those weak Marines from the grenades earlier, and still reinforcing with those Vikings. He does have a 30C on the way now, although NaDo's is already done and transforming, but he's not going to be able to mine off of about half of his NaTuRal, including this 4th gas, which is pretty important. NaTuRal is just basically chilling right now. I mean, his 30C is on the low ground here. That's a little bold because Hellions could run by, but we know that's not happening.
Yeah, and I guess the question at this point is how much do you want to invest in depots in that wall either. I mean, well, it might be nice to wall off. It's also free food for the siege tanks.
Yeah. So what happened over here? There, I guess grenades hit a ton of these SCVs. Got the scouting without the scan with that Reaper too. So yeah, he knows that it's mech. And with these drops coming out, it's not going to be stim. Well, no, it would be stim, but no combat shields. Stim is all you would really need to just drop off to the right of this 3rd command center, and probably not kill it, but certainly get most of the SCVs on it. This is not looking great for NaDo, in fact. I mean, initially he took the splash on his Marines. What did that really matter, as his Marines weren't important to him? but now he's losing tanks. Of course, he lost those Vikings initially. The barracks almost went down as he wanted that vision, but realized that he wasn't going to be able to provide vision for very long. Trying to slowly siege up his tanks, but NaTuRal is the one that's always on top of it. And there are those drops. Like I said, maybe not kill the third command center, but still got the SCVs off of mining. There wasn't that many SCVs to begin with. They're still dying over here as they derp out on the mineral lines. We do have Hellions going over to the other side of the map. They didn't cancel, or stall the command center rather, but they get a couple SCVs. Not terrible, but cleaned up, and it's more terrible to just not have the 3rd mining at all. Still don't think he should get it. I mean, SCVs are here. They could repair. Don't have to. Oh, it does end up burning. He's gonna chase it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Marines really give chase too. And what's worse is NaDo actually is not in position to defend against this. Auto turrets might cut it. He's gonna focus down that Raven pretty quick though. Really expensive unit to lose. You don't really reinvest in a Raven. That's meant to be a long-term investment.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I was gonna say exactly what he should do. Either target down the Raven, or worse, those Vikings, and try and really take just purely dominant air control. And it unfortunately is stuck on 2 bases, which if it was Heart of the Swarm, you know, whatever, you get maxed out on 2 bases. But in Legacy of the Void, especially after losing so many units to just defending that little tank thing on the other side of the map, is just, it's bad. The supplies tell the story. NaTuRal's up about more than 20 SCVs, has those better upgrades once again, and has a better army. Now, not a good enough army to push in to tanks with like a wall off, but enough to make sure that NaDo can't push out. So
I had the camera lock bug. That was, I'm not gonna lie, I don't enjoy not being able to control my own mouse for this. Okay, so the siege tanks, while numerous and great as we see, aren't really pushing in. Unfortunately, we are gonna hit this point though where maybe not attrition, but just the difference in income is going to be natural. Be able to just throw away army after army and have thousands of minerals to remax on, whereas NaDo won't be able to afford to lose anything soon. The SCV's already getting popped off, not looking so hot. Hellions trying to get back here to the main. Blue Flame really late to the party once again. I guess not a huge impact now, and this is what's kind of why it's bad that it's late rather than early. Is your opponent is going to realize, like, oh, okay, I'm not going to invest a lot of Marines. There's going to be more Marauders, there's going to be more tanks, there's going to be more anything that's not a Marine on the map, and that means that Blue Flame upgrade actually doesn't get that benefit, whereas early on, the sooner it's down, the sooner you kill those Marines. I mean, the fact that there's even offensive sensor towers says so much about this game.
I didn't even realize, but absolutely. I was going to say I was going to talk about the defensive center tower and the defensive missile turrets that NaDo's always putting down. And he's prepping for a very turtly style of mech, and that's not a wrong thing to do, but it's always like, it's almost too early. You're in a really bad position, and it's surprising that you would invest into the missile turrets. But, you know, his gas is denied for so long. He probably doesn't have that much production to even use his minerals, so it is something that is just throwing the missile turrets. Hope they help. Hope they take out an important medevac drop, and they helped take out the medevac drop here, but they still died and opened up more.
By the way, just on the note of those offensive sensor towers, I actually really like that given his position, knowing that he's ahead. It also guarantees that NaDo doesn't sneak out of the base and do a crazy counterattack that would get him back in the game type thing. It looks so silly and almost BM, but it's actually tactically a good move.
They got 2 armies that can almost take on what they see. He's gonna try here. That's not that great.
No. Too many siege tanks for this bio force that doesn't have any air support.
That was questionable. I don't think he realized how deep the tank line. Well, no, he would have because he has a sensor tower. So I don't know. Maybe he thought there was like Marine recipe or something. But if there's enough over there, that probably means there's not enough over here. So we kind of have this weird situation, I guess, where there's a lot of tanks. So the place where he could push in, it's kind of hard to push in with tanks.
If
there's
he had more medevacs too, I actually just realized how low his overall medevac count is. Only 2. So you can't really shuffle all these tanks forward easily. There we go. Attack goes towards the main though while this goes on. A little bit of posturing towards the south, but he finds a way to just kind of hug that cliff. And if he can get set up here in a siege position, it's going to be really hard to uproot him.
Yeah. The Cyclone here is going to be very annoying for these Vikings.
Yeah, not to mention there's still some Marine support on the ground. Definitely the Cyclone of the world.
Tries to reposition his tanks to get over here. Unfortunately, yeah, they start focus firing on like one Marauder. They should be able to get that Cyclone. Marauders are
Engineering Bay goes down. Now no more
SCVs.
turrets.
No more armory. But they've had any upgrades he was trying to research anyways. It's gonna be 3-3 versus 0-0. And he's got 3 bases, and he's thinking, like, if I can just get up to, like, 150 supply, then maybe I can take a 4th base, and then so on and so forth until he has a maxed out army versus a maxed out army. And that situation happens. Terrans can take terrible fights versus mech. Some Terrans in particular are, like, super bad at it, and he might be able to win a game, but first you have to get maxed out. That's 90 supply away.
This is something where I like that NaTuRal's finally. I was going to ask if he's about to start this. He's thinking about Liberators. I didn't even realize he was going for +1 weapons for anything other than the Vikings, but if you want to break a siege tank position like this and your opponent doesn't have mobile anti-air and you have Viking control, Liberators are probably going to be your best friend in this situation.
There's the shadow bug on the tanks.
Do you still have that? I was just about
north.
to ask. When you double zoom out, anything in the top third of the screen loses its shadow for some reason. It's so weird.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Liberator really is going to be able to clinch it. I mean, the missile turrets are still around, so they can kind of help stall for a little while longer, but... Oh, whoopsie, wrong button. They're going down to the tank fire. They don't just can't... I mean, he can't even really get the scans down, even though, you know, because he obviously is not going to have air control. He's going to get Thors, which... If this is a more even game, I have a lot of faith in. The new Thor attack can really help out with these, like, okay, I've clearly lost the air superiority situations, when before they were, like, helpful, but not super, super helpful. But it's not very even. It's still 80 supply down. And while a couple of Thors might be able to scare away a few Liberators, eventually NaTuRal is going to be able to just push in with his ground army, with or without Liberators. Damn it, wrong button again. Amazing. There we go. That's it. That's game.
Yeah, I mean, this was well planned out of NaTuRal as the game got further in. It just, I think the difference in 2 right now for skill is a little too high. Combined with the fact that NaDo was just playing this mech style, which I'm going to be honest, seems a little unpracticed. Nothing negative to say about him, though. I want him to refine this. I want to see him do more of this, and I want to see him win, like, other cups or whatever, but no anti-cheering here out of NaDo, just kind of everything going, I think, as expected. The Thor sieged up is actually really cute to see. It's got that crazy range, and this is something that would, if given more time, have been a better choice to have a couple more of these out, but
yeah,
it's just not going to work with the... Yeah, GG.
They do take out those Liberators. They're really quite helpful in those desperate spots. I hate how slow they attack. And they have really slow attack. Like, not just, like, from attack to attack, but, like, in terms of targeting and then firing. Super slow, super annoying. I've gone mech, like, once in Legacy of the Void recently, and I had to deal with the same shit. But anyway... NaTuRal does take the 2-0 and advance in the brackets. Bjorn was awarded the walkover a while ago. And Billowy is waiting in the next match. He did 2-0 Rush Crazy, which sounds familiar. But that's probably what I'm going to get into next. The other matches that would be happening would probably be Keen versus Bjorn, as Keen's going to take out Duke, I assume. And maybe like Symbol versus Demi. Armani's still waiting for the winner of Tails and into this car. Okay. It's not even spelled correctly like this. Okay, whatever. That's surprisingly held up. You'd think Tails would just 2-0'd someone we don't know, but hey, maybe into this car is really amazing. But before we get into the next lobby, which again should be Billowy versus NaTuRal, we'll be taking a 2-minute break. Thanks to Nice Username for the 713 sub.
You fucked up though. I tried to type Ace Blue and goofed. You goofed, son!
You messed up. Bye forever, Joey.